let's just kind of go over this, go over Bitcoin, maybe some other cryptos. So where we left off just the other day, I still think we have more room to go down. It's still I'll just keep it simple. I still think we have more room to go down. I still think this 98 to whatever level is pretty good. So this definitely could push Bitcoin up quite a bit more. It's definitely still possible to have a little bit of reversal at this 102.236 area if we start here, but that's not going to be until like late Sunday night. I just kind of want to put that up. So I think overall, this stuff's still fairly bullish for what it is. There are some kind of concerns, though, that I was talking about. I honestly would have preferred, because I do believe that the dollar has more room to go down. I would have preferred for us not to come up here. And like I said, I'm not surprised that we came up to this area. Um, I'm not whatsoever at all. Like if I was in this, like I was talking about January 3rd, stuff seemed good. So like if I was messing with Bitcoin specifically, I would have bought here. And then I would have taken a little bit of profit here or waited for it to come back down. I didn't think it was really going to fall through, so I wouldn't have sold out everything, but I would have gotten out a decent amount of it here. Just wait to see. So that just kind of give my perspective on what I'm looking at, or like how I would have treated this in a sense to kind of give another kind of one of my perspectives on it. That's kind of where I would be at if I was trading this. Essentially, the dollar looked good, so I'm not surprised we pushed up. And essentially, this is the range. What I didn't want to see with this so early is that I feel like it's onerous now on Bitcoin to really keep pushing up, and it could. The dollar's not open until Sunday night, so anything can kind of happen in there. And I think the dollar's kind of been the biggest reason for a lot of this movement. Especially if we just go back and look at it. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? We kind of come under this, and then this whole area, and then we do the other issues. If we're really going to bounce anywhere, in my opinion, with something like this, it's going to be at 102.36. And the other issue we have here is that we decide to cup right above this, which is another reason why I think it's just going to keep pushing down. But I guess in the context of Bitcoin, to just kind of get back to this, I wouldn't be surprised if it does keep pushing up. I don't know if there's like really a huge reason to. There's no reason to not be in it. In some respect, right? So like if we're treating this is like the range, and then this is like going to be pretty tough to get out of, in my opinion, anyway. But if we look at it in this range, and this is the range that was traded, you still have another base point right here. So a couple things I don't like about it, and that I'm a little sketched about it for. I guess I kind of said this, but just to kind of get in more. I don't like the idea of this being a double top. Now, I think one of the most interesting things to be look out for if someone's looking at this is to see like, can we actually break this? What 21,450? Can it actually break this? I think we'll definitely get a better idea. You just kind of really, there's no other. I'm gonna be honest. There's really no other way to do it besides putting an alarm on something, right? Like this is like literally the only way to go about it is putting an alarm on it. Otherwise, like, right, because a lot of shorts are going to be in this area, and this definitely could give it the ability to push up a little bit more. And this could be a really strong spot for if it consolidates here to try to push all the way up to something like 26K. We'll see. There's a lot of people that shorted here. If people didn't see, a lot of the stuff with the dollar, they're probably caught with their pants down. So it's something that could develop. Now, I think um, what I definitely also could see happening, which feels more likely to me anyway, it's kind of hard to say, to be honest. So I'll just say this, and it feels difficult to necessarily see this happening, but I just have a greater feeling that we'll fall back into this range. I don't think I think if we fall back into this range, especially where the dollar is, regardless of what it does, like on the new day, let's say if we start a day under here, I think there's a chance that it pushes back maybe somewhere down to here, anything like that. Where the dollar is and where it looks like it wants to continue going, I do believe even if it comes back down this range, it's going to want to push back up. I think it coming down and consolidating would be better than it just continually pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. but it kind of is what it is. We really need to get past our not we, but like Bitcoin really needs to get past this. What is this at? 21,470. Really needs to get past 21,470. So this doesn't just look like it's a double top. Shorters are going to want to make this look like a double top from where it is, or not even like a double top as much as, I mean, it's close enough, but just a higher low. And then that kind of brings us back down into this area and also increases the possibility of coming back down under this. So I guess a little bit more context with the week 200. Where can we look at this from? Okay. So we can kind of look at it on the week time frame now. Maybe it'll give a little bit more context here. So if we just do this, we can see we have the week 200 smooth average. We have a hit here. Do we have enough room? I don't remember. I'm going to be honest. I don't remember where. Here we go. So BLX, we have our hit down here, 2015, 2020, and now we have a hit here, 2022, and then we came under it. So I really would like to see this find some support right here, and I think this is a strong spot. The closer it starts towards it, I think personally it's better, which is why I would like for Bitcoin to come down and consolidate before pushing up anymore. And so I this kind of is just me saying the same thing. I don't think it's bad if it goes down. I actually think it's better if it. I guess it's kind of hard to say whether it's better or it's worse. I think it's okay if it goes back down. I personally would like to see it go down, but so I'm trying to think about it in this way. These are just some of the things I'm thinking about. So if this is gonna go, when it was around here, I really wanted it to come back down. Like on Friday, yesterday, I didn't want to see it in like until now. I didn't want to see it shoot all the way up here. I really wanted it to max out here, come back down. Let's just consolidate in this area. Let's start next week here, and then let's push up. Um, we hit up here, so they could. I think what they're trying to do right now is still fight for that lower high, which will bring us back down to this range. I feel like this does weaken this a lot more. This lower high hit here. If we do have to come back down to consolidate here, it does weaken it quite a bit more. With the dollar and where it is, I'm not super worried. Unless it was something we'll see where the dollar starts. It's kind of hard to see this happening, like be honest. But if the dollar starts here, um, but, like, all things barred, the dollar still probably wants to head down. It's hard to see it get back above 103. I could see it kinda coming back up to, like, this 103 area, and at the same time, I could see this coming back down to here, and then, as the dollar wants to go back down because the resistance, then this pushes up. It's not the most perfect way to really see it, but about something I haven't said yet, what if we do kinda keep pushing up? I mean, breaking this pretty much like, we could break this and we could still have a lower high. It is nice because on the more and, like, the greater sense, we do have so we have, like, our high, lower high, and then we have a lower high, but if this breaks here, then finally we have something that's bucking that trend, right? Where, this actually fights for this. So we haven't had anything, like this where it's broken the trend, so that is something that's kinda nice, and that could send it going a lot farther up. And the reason why I say that, I say it's because I'm thinking in my mind, is this really bad if it continues to go up? And I guess it's not bad if this does just continue to push up. Um, it's difficult to say. At the end of the day, trading's trading. It doesn't really matter, really whatsoever at all. Um, right? Like this is the range. January 3rd looked on the 1st anyways when the video came out, but things looked really nice, especially with the dollar to go down. Um, this is a tough range to get through, and then this is a nice place for what it is up here. So it doesn't really matter if this can get above 22.5 or like 22.450 or something like that, then sure, maybe something nice can happen. I don't want to get into it too much, I guess, because it's not really important. At the end of the day, I'd like to see this come all the way back down here. It's not going to sit here for this long, right? I don't know if that's possible. Maybe it does. But when Bitcoin shoots up this much, like instead of what I wanted to see, which was this come back down to here, you know, and then the week turns or whatever, then it can push up. When we push up this much, it makes me want to see something come back down and maybe like a cup and bring itself up. But there's no way that we sit here for like another like a month. There's no, I just feel like with the way that the dollar looks, there's no way this sits here for a whole nother month, right? Like maybe, but I don't know. It just feels very unlikely. But I'd like to see something like this. I just don't think it's going to happen. But then it also has to deal with this coming through. But yeah, you know. Anyway, so that's kind of is what it is. So if I had to put odds on it, like I said, trading this, I put out the video here saying it looks like most things are going to go up. We'll just kind of see what happens. Dollar looks like it's going to go down. So from here, take profit, and this is pretty much the end of the trade, and then wait to see if something comes up here. So I personally, I'm not messing with this right now, but if I was, I don't really care about it. It's going to have to prove itself. It did what I think was arguably one of the worst things it could have done, but in a good situation, right? Like if you spend half of your fortune, but you just won the lottery, then, I mean, that's not the greatest thing in the world, but still, it is what it is. So I guess that's good. I'll kind of just end with that for Bitcoin here because I don't want to get too much into it. Besides that, that's really like the main point about all of this. And even though we're fighting here and struggling, this could still push back up. It's just, what's more likely that we're gonna finish this? Looks like strong. Are we gonna, beat this range that doesn't have a lot here? Or are we going to get through this range, which has really held us back for a good amount of 2022? Anyway, let's go. I haven't looked at a lot of these other ones. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we got above. Really, it would have been. I mean, it depends if someone did want to be in Bitcoin. I'd have to look at Ethereum to Bitcoin for this, but we can see we come back up here. I feel like are there any? Yeah, nothing really that crazy with the averages here. Oh well, geez, that looks really nice. Not amazing. Looks pretty nice on the week time frame. Here's another entry spot, and it just hasn't started. Really hasn't even pushed back under this 1150 spot. So this is nice that we start back above. This would have been, I would have, if I was trading this, I would have exited the position here. Or not, if I was, well, I mean, I don't know where I would have gotten in particularly, but like, let's say I got in here because we come down to bounce. It's kind of sketchy, to be honest, because we have all this right here. But if I had to get in somewhere, I would have gotten in here, ignoring everything else, just looking at this. And then once we started under here, I would have gotten out of the position. And then likewise, I would have just got in right back in here. So when I look at it like that, I just kind of think of like looking at the averages in a kind of bot sense, more or less. And just based off of this, you can also see this would not have been a fun time for me if I was trading this. Just looking at Ethereum, I mean, I never really do that, but I just trying to give like my perception on these and how I look at them. Did we actually get above? Oh yeah, wow. Hang Seng's finally above. That'll be interesting. Okay, let's see. Let's check Doge. I don't think there's really much to look at Doge, to be honest. Uh, 86. Yeah, we came back above here on the daytime frame. There should be something else here also as well. Yeah, also here. Yeah, so here we start above. We hit here at our 7.6 spot, 7.619 or 7.610. We push up. This isn't really too surprising either, just because Bitcoin overextended, so it makes sense that something like this would happen a little bit, but we'll see. So there are kind of two things I will say here. When Bitcoin does come down to consolidate, a lot of the times these altcoins will shoot up. I suppose, real quick with context, I should show there is a little bit of sketchiness with these. And this is kind of like a little bit of an issue, right? So we try to bounce here. We have this here. stops us. I still think this is a fine entry spot. But yeah, it just gets completely wrecked down. This is something to be wary of. We come back to right around where the entry spot is a little bit above. Don't come back above, right? Then we're under, just struggling. So we can just see this is pretty sketchy, really, just for what it is. It could be even worse next week. This will be pretty interesting to see. This isn't a inherently bad start to the week. This is a little bit sketchy for what it is. But this doesn't necessarily mean anything because Doge could just get destroyed to Bitcoin, like another 20-30%. And that could just mean Bitcoin shooting up, right? So Doge to Bitcoin dropping isn't like anything like horrible per se if it's offset by Bitcoin. But it looks pretty sketchy for where it is. At like 389 looks like the next possible bounce spot. But what I was saying is, um, kind of what we were talking about before with Bitcoin. What I don't like is that it just feels like the place to come back down to find support is 13% down. So when it's like that, I'm not as big of a fan. So if Bitcoin ended here, or like when the market closed, Bitcoin was here and now it's coming back down to here, I think Doge would be going up quite a bit because the amount that Bitcoin might fall before it hits strong resistance is like 4% instead of 13%. So the amount you would need to gain from that Bitcoin pair isn't as much to be to have that in order to offset the losses that you would be making from losing money because Bitcoin itself is going down and that everything's paired to it. Just kind of put that out there like that. So that is kind of a concern also that I have about this with some of these alts. I haven't even looked at some of these things in a while. Let's see. Like there really hasn't been a huge reason to be honest. So a lot of this stuff, in my opinion, is just really the dollar. Um, so from what we saw in the new year. Or like I don't remember specifically January 1st, but talked about it that day in that video. So this actually looks pretty nice for Litecoin. I think we saw something similar we saw with Doge. No, not exactly. No, we didn't. So I kind of like it where it is right now. I'd have to see the Bitcoin pair. I'm not a huge fan of it, especially with this candle right here. We'll have to see what happens. I'm not a huge fan of this, to be honest. Um, I'm not the biggest thing. I'm not a huge fan of what I liked with Doge, and it was super easy to see that Doge looked good. Doge did this, but then had a wick down to here, and then another wick down to here, which just made it look really nice because you have that confirmation of support there. And here we kind of, I mean, you can see that there's some support, some resistance, and you can see it pretty well, especially at hitting here. But it just kind of goes on past it. And I'm not a huge fan of that. Let's see what we have here. Okay. I don't know why this line is here, but oh my gosh. Oh, come on. Let me pause this. Okay, that white line was really annoying. On the week time frame, nothing. Daytime frame. Okay, here. Okay, so with this, we could push down somewhere like 39.82. I mean, we could bounce where we are also as well. I think that is possible. When I look at this from a day time frame, I just feel like with this here, we would probably need to come down to somewhere here, or if we can meet here before we try to push up. It just like when I look at this, it just doesn't look like something that's immediately going to turn around. So I'm not a huge fan of how Litecoin to Bitcoin looks. That makes me a little bit sketched out also about Litecoin to the dollar. I would also say, I mean, since some of these times it is also questionable of whether it's necessarily worth it to be in alt as opposed to Bitcoin. But I guess it kind of is what it is. People have their stuff on storage, and that's how they do it. There's no reason, I guess, to mess with the pairs. Um, I'll put out another video to this, and I'll have that linked to this in the bottom, and I'll kind of go through some of these other cryptos. And I think I'll probably just end this right here because I only have 24 seconds left. So long story short, we'll kind of see what happens. But 28.50 or 20,850. This is kind of like the range that we're in. We'll see if we can get through here. It's always really caused us a lot of problems. These were created all the way back here, June 22nd. They've held pretty well, so we'll see what happens. Take care, y'all.